Okay, so we're back on the waterfront now. So this allows us to roll. They're going to come off that Telegraph Bridge area up near that roundabout and those flags up the end there. Then they're going to come in through here, come in through on the waterfront, and down around this section here. So what, again, just sort of tell us what are they going to, looks pretty narrow, but they're going to be fairly flying down through here around the waterfront too.
Yeah, look, any of these sections of the course, you know, they're going to be sitting on 50, 60 kilometres an hour if they're under a bit of pressure, but I couldn't see them not being under pressure around here. And just the sheer bulk size of the bunch, the fact that so many teams will get a turn at the front will cause that pace to stay pretty high.
Just taking in a bit of the scenery around Geelong, north to water. It's a fantastic bay, Geelong Bay. And what a spot for a race. Missed that rider.
Yeah, you probably you wouldn't be able to run this race in Melbourne. You know, you just logistically wouldn't be able to shut down and make it a race that would be able to gel in with the community and the traffic problems that would occur as a result of it. But Geelong is a little more laid back, not so much traffic, smaller central town district area, so it makes it a lot easier, a lot logistically easier to shut it down and run a race of this size. But again, not far from Melbourne, which is good.
Yeah, it's only 70k from Melbourne, so it's ideally placed for this. And it is pretty much a bike city, isn't it?
Yeah, well, they did in the early 90s. They had a pilot program, so they were going to make it a bike city, and they painted all the lanes in, but they never advanced on it, which was a shame. And this Geelong is a very predominant bike city. We've got Cadell Evans lives in the area. He's the current world champion. He'll be defending his title during this race. And this is the first time it's ever been off the continent, so Australia is the first country to ever have it outside Europe, which is the enormity is bigger than anyone could ever dream of. It's, you know, you put it on the stage of sporting events, this is probably as big as it gets in any sport, any given sport in the world.
In Europe, what's this sort of pulling numbers? People, you know, out there looking and watching and...
The Tour de France would have 20 million people on the road watching it, on the road, let alone the TV audience. This will pull 400 million TV audience, so that's phenomenal. We'll have 250,000 people standing on the roadside watching the race.
It's big numbers, popular stuff, isn't it?
Well, it's getting bigger. I mean, people now understand that cycling is a great recreational pastime for
big screen going up there
for a number of reasons. It gives people a chance to stay fit and healthy. It's a great alternative to sitting on your couch and you know, maybe dying of a heart attack. And they say now that cycling is the new golf for 50-year-olds. So in the introduction of so many Australians racing in Europe, the profile it has now, the sport of cycling has grown phenomenally in the last 10 years. We were riding in bunches of, you know, big bunch would have been 20. Now we have bunches of 120 on Saturday morning. So there's been a phenomenal growth in it.
It's not bad, is it? And tell us about the bikes. The bikes, I mean, you know, there's obviously the different levels. You guys, you've got some pretty special bikes, which I mean, tell us about your bike and then tell us about a standard bike compared to these guys.
Well, I got a road and time trial. Both in their race spec would be around, you know, anywhere between 10 and 15,000. But you know, 15 or 20 years ago when I started, if you paid $1,000 for a bike, that was a lot of money. Now you'll pay 25,000, and most of the bikes in these teams would be worth high end, anywhere between 10 and 25,000, with the inclusion of these new electronic gear changing mechanisms that you know that are just going to supersede all this mechanical stuff eventually, and it'll be price affordable. All the prices will come down, so it's like riding a push bike and having automatic gears. It's phenomenal, and the stuff works really well because they've been in development now for 4 or 5 years.
So that's the top end. You can't see up there as to what's going on, but we'll stop it up here shortly. But it rides up through there, and that's the finish line, start and finish line.
Finishing line about 100 metres. 100
metres away, and that looks like it's counting down, or counting up. I don't know, maybe just testing the clock. But that's where the likes of Phil Liggett, he'll be out for the race. the commentating box?
Most of these are left and right are commentary boxes, so they will be cycling reporters from all around the world reporting on this race, and quite a few of them are old, world champions and Tour de France riders who have progressed from their professional cycling days into race commentary.
Yeah.
As their new choice of employment.
That's big, isn't it? It's big.
It is massive, Look, most of the top Australian riders in Europe now be on $1 million contract. Your Stuart O'Grady's, your Simon Gerrans, Cadell Evans, and the list goes on. They'd be all on $500,000 to $1 million contracts for racing. Quite a few of them live in Monaco because it's a tax-free threshold. They make good money and don't pay tax.
Yeah. Well, if you're going to play on the world circuit, you might as well do that, mightn't you?
Well, you don't want to be paying tax, do you?
No.
Why give it to Julia Abbott?
Julia, yeah, exactly. Julia Gillard.
Yeah.
Julia Gillard or Abbott, yeah. But yeah, it's great for the city. There's obviously it's livening up the whole city area.
I think now it's just probably in the last day or so that buzz is just starting to happen. But once everything's finished and people get out and have a look what's actually involved in this type of racing, this format of racing, and the profile that it commands on the world stage, then people will probably warm a lot more to it, and they'll be really starting to get excited in the next week.
Yep.
Plus, we're going to have international tourists from just every corner of the globe parking themselves in hotels around this city and beyond.
One thing I've got to say, if anything's disappointing about it, is how it's been really marketed as a Melbourne race, and yet it starts there, yes, but what is it, 4 or 5 days down here?
Well, it is funny because there's one race on the Sunday that starts in Melbourne, and if you talk about councils, they got one race is going to spend about 30 kilometres in that Melbourne council area. That main race, the men's elite race, is then going to come through the Wyndham Council for 20, but the best part of 220 kilometres of that race alone will be in Geelong. And then you've got 5 other days where every single race starts and finishes in Geelong, and Melbourne are claiming it.
Yeah.
Give me a break.
Yeah, that's a disgrace. That's top end of Maribel Street. We've just done a big hook around, and now we're heading
back on the course
again, because they've blocked that top section off, and this heads down past the Geelong football ground. Obviously last year's AFL premiers, and they'll be certainly putting pedal to the metal coming down through here. What about the road in itself? There's some pretty rough sections of the road.
There are. They've been fixing some parts of it, but I think they may have a road patrol will go out, early in next week, specifically to target little potholes and that. They'll do the repair jobs necessary to make the road a little smoother and a little safer for the riders.
Yeah.
Because one thing we don't want is the best riders in the world coming off, or even best case scenario puncturing, as a result of trashy roads, and that doesn't really go down well for the race either. We'd expect to come and have the best riders and the best stage in the world, giving the best opportunity to show their skill and prowess with the best chance of having a chance at winning the world title. And you wouldn't want to get put out because as a result of a wheel collapse or a puncture. Yeah. That would be a tragedy in the sport.
So who's some of the big names that are...
Well, you got the Tour de France podium here. You got Contador and the other riders that finished the podium. Cadell Evans has finished second twice. He's here. You've got Oscar Ferreira. He's a Tour de France winner. You've got Carlos Sastre. He's a Tour de France winner. And you've got the best sprinter in the world, Mark Cavendish. He's untouchable.
HTC guy, isn't he?
Yeah, he's from Colombia.